Hey folks, well today's fishing destination is way down deep in the Everglades. I'm down in an area called the A1 retention area, and what it is, it's a 17,000 acre reservoir just below Lake Okeechobee, and it's for the excess water. It kind of filters the water as it goes into the Everglades. And it's only open on 3 days a week. And I wish I had my big nitro boat, because my big nitro would be the deal, and it's nice and comfortable. However, the regulations here on A1 are a little different. You have to have a cartop boat. You can't even use a trailer. And all these boats and cars you see up here are all people have come in, they're fishing from the bank. They have just little canoes, and they just have to cartop it in there. But anyway, this is a really good spot, and there's a lot of 3 and 4 and 5 pound bass. Now for today's fishing, I'm going to do a combination of things. Number one, the old Spro Pop 80. That's just a really solid lure. The second one, of course, is a good stick worm. If I miss a fish, you know how it is, I always back it up with a nice worm. That's a big deal, okay? Now a chatterbait. You know a chatterbait's always a good deal, particularly on the edges of the hydrilla and the edges of the deep water channels and stuff. So a chatterbait's going to be another big plus. And I'll probably have a big swim bait. I don't have it rigged up right now. And finally, I'll probably have a big buzz bait. Just try that. Now there's 5 or 6 other things. I'll try some little John crankbaits. I'll try a lot of things. But anyway, today is kind of an exploratory mission. I haven't been on this system in almost a year. So what I'm going to start off with is the topwater. And how I fish topwaters is basically, I'll throw my plug out there and let it sit and let the ripples just die away like you see right there. And then just twitch it ever so slowly. Now I'll go down and fish mainly the shadowy areas. Now I'll get around the corner and there'll be some shadows on the canal. And it's a bright sun, but the nice thing about today is supposed to be some clouds this afternoon, so it might be a good afternoon for topwater. Anyway, I just work it kind of slow and easy, and these big fish will just kind of suck it down. Okay, I didn't bite. Well, the second choice, of course, is if I had a strike, or if I had a swirl, or if I just wanted to just throw. Okay, the second rod I'm going to try is a spinning rod with 20-pound test braid, a nice 4-aught EWG hook, and a 5-inch worm. Okay, and again, I'm going to throw it close to the edge of the grass, and just, I'm a line watcher, and so. With braid, you actually feel the strikes as well. And I'll get the thing adjusted right and see. I don't know if it's going to be a worm day. Right now with the bright sun, it might be a good worm time. And just kind of slowly retrieve it. You notice I didn't have any weight, because right now in this particular area, water's only 4 or 5 feet deep. And so an unweighted plastic worm is sometimes the way to go. Again, just kind of pulling it along slow and easy. Well, let's get started. That's kind of my complement of lures today. The other, of course, would be throwing a chatterbait. And the chatterbait systems are just basically just a nice long cast and a nice just steady retrieve. And it's not rocket science. I'm trying to find hydrilla, and I think there'll be some hydrilla edges along this some of the areas I'll fish. And just kind of a slow roll. Now, all a slow roll is, and I'll use some spinnerbaits as well. All a slow roll is just a slow retrieve. Okay, that's this chatterbait's a white one. I see there's some eelgrass. That's actually eelgrass. And the chatterbait is a good combination. I'm using 50-pound braid today because, well, I don't need 50-pound braid. I could get by with lighter line. I like to throw topwater also with monofilament because it doesn't sink. I don't like to throw topwater with fluorocarbon for the fact that it sinks. And if I'm fishing a slow topwater like this one, it'll have a tendency to pull it under. Okay, just kind of ease along here. They cast close to the bank, well, all over the place. There's a lot of grass here. And there's eelgrass and there's hydrilla. There's not much water movement today, and it's better. Actually, sometimes the fishing's better after a big rain, because what happens after a big rain is that there's a lot of water movement. Right now, there's not been much rain this week, so they've kind of shut the whole system down and there's not any water movement. Now, as the wind starts to blow, it's going to be another thing. This is a big 17,000 acre reservoir, so there's going to be sections of the lake that are going to push through little narrow little slots, and the wind's going to make current. And so I'm going to look for that when the wind starts to blow a little bit. I'm going to look for little constricted areas where there might be some current in between, say, two islands or a little canal, any kind of little constricted area. Another fish hit right there. I just saw another one bite right there. Right there. I don't know what it was. Put my polarized glasses on. Huh. Can't get him to hit this topwater. That one fish right out in the middle, he was chasing a minnow or something. I don't know what he was doing. There's one. There's one. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's a bass or a cichlid. That's a bass. And I saw him come up and actually chase something. So that was actually a bass, and he sucked it down just real slow and easy. That was really kind of cool. Let me get. And that was out in the middle. So that's kind of a cool deal. That's a nice little bass. You have to be careful of these things. Yeah. Nice little representative fish for A1. And what I like to look at is the fact that he doesn't have any hook marks in his face. And he's probably not been caught before. That's kind of cool. But anyway, that fish, I saw him again. He came up and chased something. And maybe there's a second one over there. So I'll throw over there again, because if another one broke right here, there could be a whole school here. I don't know. Sucked it right down. These fish will travel in schools quite often. Catch 3 or 4 at a time. And now, particularly when there's moving water. And the water's not moving much today, so it's not really the case, but it can be the case. Cichlid's messing with it. I think that's a bass. I don't know what it is. That's a bass. That's a bass. A cichlid was there and hitting that thing, and the bass came along and he ate it. So the cichlid kind of got the attention of the fish, of the bass. I love that topwater action, that visual action of those bass hitting on top like that. That's something else. That's so much fun. That's so much fun. They're little, hey, but they're fun. You never know. You know, you take a little bass, like a 1.5 pound bass, hits the same way as a 10-pound bass sometimes. So you don't really know what you got. I've caught them up to 10 pounds in here. So there's some good fish here. And I'm just flip casting it right to the edge of those hyacinths. Oh, there's one right there. Right to the edge of the hyacinths. That's the key. They're right at the edge of the hyacinths. And I flipped it right in there. That was a pretty fast strike. Pretty fast strike. So what to do is hyacinths are the pattern. We hadn't been fishing hyacinths, and we hadn't been fishing these flats. But we're in a much different place here. It's only 3 foot deep here, and so it's a whole different ball game. I'm making a little flip pitch, and I don't want to, I want to just make a real accurate little cast right to the edge of the hyacinths, and a little pitch is an easier, actually an easier presentation. Ooh, there's one right there. He waked right after it. I reeled it in, and he came right after it. He's got it. He's got it. I threw back. Yeah. That's fun. Hey, we're not catching much, but the hyacinth pattern is paying off. You know, it's funny. There's a lot of ways to catch fish, and there's a lot of different patterns. It's just a pattern. But all morning we're going down that deep canal and catching very few fish. And now I just made this one little drift on this hyacinth patch, and there's just a ton of fish here. I don't know how many though. Just about every cast I'm getting one. So that means that there's a whole different pattern right here. Just kidding. Oh yeah, a big one, big one, big one. Got a big bass. Got a big bass. Worm time. Get a big old bass. Finally, I got a big bass. Oh, a big 7-pounder. I finally had a great big giant one on a worm, and I lost it. Great big giant one. 7 or 8 pounds on a worm. Put the Cinco on, and had a good fish on. Daggone it. In that big bush. There we go, another big one. Another nice one. Pretty big one. Right in those bushes. Pretty good one. That's not real big, but that's the key. I think we're getting on to the right pattern. I think we're getting on to the right pattern. Yeah, decent bass, a decent bass. Not real big, but decent bass. Yep. In these stick-ups. Oh, big one. Oh, that's a 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 big one. That's a really big one. Oh, yeah. That's a big one. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. This is what it's all about. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. It's this big trophy catch right here. Okay? Trophy bass catch. I got a net. I got a net. Yes, sir, son. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Big trophy bass. The other one I had was bigger. This is a big one. And I figured it out. You know, it took us all day to kind of figure out what's going on here. This is the second really big one that we've had, and it came out of one of these big trees like we got behind us. And this is a big 6 or 7 pounder. The other one was even bigger. So, hey, we figured it out. We figured out a way to catch these fish. Big old trophy bass. That's not quite an 8-pounder. It's getting close. We have what we call the Florida trophy catch that I talked to you about. But it's the second really big one I've hooked, and it's been in that kind of stuff. So folks, I hope I've shown you a few things about how I approach my plastic worm fishing, how I approach a strange lake. You know, it's not a strange lake, but it's a changing lake. Every day is a different day. Every day is a different pattern. You have to figure it out each and every day, and I think we did. The big bass are in the stick-ups on a worm. So folks, we'll see you again soon, and thanks for watching. Hey, I hope you catch a big one like this too. I'm going to let them go.